Oh, welcome back to the channel, brothers and sisters. Welcome back. Welcome back. I just have to do a quick disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. The urban legend that I'm about to talk about has actually got a lot of historical fact in it, and it is also a myth stroke urban legend. And who is this urban legend, I hear you cry? Well, this one is a really good one. This is one of my favourites. Have you ever heard of Anastasia Genesis? Have you heard of this urban legend? Because this one's actually a pretty rare urban legend. It's one that's been sort of forgotten about. I'm bringing it back. And for good reason, because it's a really, really good one. Really good one. Because it is actually something that you can go and check historically. So there is an owl around. There is a couple of other things happening as well, but we'll just keep going. It's the whole point in me coming here to do the urban legend. So I'm going to say this is one of my favourites. So, who is Anastasia? Well, it's Anastasia Romanov, Grand Duchess Anastasia Nikolaevna of Russia. And she was one of the siblings or daughters of Nicholas Romanov II, the last emperor of Russia. But when he was around, Russia was called Prussia. This is a good one. Was a bit hesitant on whether to do this one or not, because obviously, but it's the urban legend about it and where I'm going in, like, because I've done a bit of, this one's taken a lot of research to do, and plus I've been like, do I do it or do I not? And I thought, nah, let's go for it, because this one's going to be forgotten about, and it has been. It's one that you've probably never heard of. I remember it from when I was younger, but a lot of people don't know this one. So she was the Grand Duchess of Russia, and her name was Anastasia Nikolaevna Romanov. Now, her urban legend begins very tragically, actually. The Romanovs were the royal family of Russia. Back in the sort of like early 1900s, they were sort of like persecuted a little bit. But it was mainly after World War I. They got assassinated. The whole family got assassinated. The way they were assassinated was gruesome. Absolutely horrific how they were assassinated. And that happened in the year of 1918. I do apologise, there is notes, because this one it's taken a bit of time to do, which is why it's been a while since I've done the urban legend. It's one of the most, for a royal family, well, they were sort of like, they were the emperor. He was the emperor of Russia. For a royal bloodline to be executed the way they were was pretty horrific. It's one of the most gruesome murders of a royal family lineage, and it's like there's in the past 100 years it's never happened again. There's been slight royal family disagreements and stuff, but this was a full family execution, and it's going somewhere because there is a lot of urban legend about Anastasia, and I'm getting there, but I have to give a bit of context on, like, a bit of history as well. It's really good. It's really fascinating when I was doing it. I already knew about the urban legend, but when I started doing the history of it, because there's a bit more that's came out since when I was younger, but I'm going somewhere, because you can't always believe everything that's written about this family. I'm going somewhere. This is why it's one of my favourites. So, the urban legend originated from the fact that her remains were never found originally. In modern time they did, but back when this happened back in 1918, all the way up until the early 2000s, no one had, like, this is why she had became an urban legend and a myth, because her remains were never found. Because the family was all buried in one place, whereas there was obviously people were like, well, there's one missing. This is a good one. So her remains were never found beside the family, because all the other family members were executed together, and her remains weren't found. I do apologise if I look off, because I'm doing this in a creepy, a very weird place. That's why I came here to do it. Now, what I found interesting with how she became an urban legend was that her remains were never found. And there is also, back then, there was a rumour that she lived for a short while after her whole family were executed. Because there's a bit of a myth whether she was actually present or not at the family execution. And that's still open for debate even today. It's still open for debate for that, because no one can be 100% certain. Especially back then, because it was a weird... Russia in the back then was a pretty... It still is a harsh place, but back then it was even harsher. And like this family, have got a lot of hidden secrets. This is why it's one of my favourite. It's why it's one of my favourites. In the short while that she was around, it's rumoured that she had a presence given to her by Divine, and Divine asked her that she could survive the wounds because she did have some wounds, supposedly, or she was saved by Divine. Now, I've asked Divine to be revealed the truth on that, and there was a divine intervention, and that's why it started with this. That's why she's an urban legend. So there is a bit of Anastasia. She did refuse, but there was a possibility that she was the last of a royal lineage. And to understand the royal lineages back then is that were presented by some of the royal lineages and royal families of the world were guarded by Divine for a reason. But the family had a lot of enemies. And that's why she didn't really want to be... Her personally didn't want to be saved by Divine, but Divine did something that day. And this is where we're going. So she was born in the late 1800s. So Russia was a harsh and unforgiving place to live, especially from the 1800s to even to the mid-1900s, to the mid-90s that we know today. Like, Russia was a pretty harsh place. It was pretty harsh. Like, some of the stories that come out of Russia back then are pretty harsh. It was a harsh environment. The people were hardy. It was a harsh environment. It still is. Just they've got modern day technology that makes their living a bit easier, but it's still harsh. there was a lot of superstition back then as well, and that's where the family had a lot of enemies because of superstition. I had a funny feeling while I was doing this, things were going to get interesting. There's a noise coming from in front of me. Yeah, I'm going to just do a quick check. Sorry. Anyway, I need to get the light for. So I explained about Russia being a very, very harsh place. The Romanovs they had a lot of enemies. They had a lot of allies, but they had also made a lot of enemies. Because it was a Tsar. And there's rumours that he was anointed by Tartaria. That's why he was seen as a holy emperor of Tartaria. That's why it's one of my favourite urban legends, because she was a royal duchess of Tartaria, the Anastasia. That's why she was called Anastasia. Anastasia is a Tartarian Empire name. Anastasia. It's a very, 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 very holy, anointed name. That's why it's one of my favourite, because there is a possibility that there was a divine intervention. I'm going somewhere with that. Again, I do apologise because I have to keep checking the notes. I have to keep on point with the notes because of I'm adding a couple of things that I know anyway about being back then. He was a holy emperor of Tartaria, the country that we now know as Russia, but it was the Tartarian Empire that he was. That's who anointed what he actually was. His great lineage was anointed by Tartaria. He was seen as a holy emperor of Tartaria, and to name a daughter Anastasia is a Tartarian name. It's a holy name, Anastasia. And because of that alone, that's why they had a lot of enemies. So later they ended up allegedly discovering, because there's a possibility that the remains that were found weren't actually Anastasia's. The remains were, this girl was found separately, which for years caused, because there was remains that were recovered, but there is a slight possibility that they might actually not be Anastasia's. And that's what caused her to become a urban legend, because there is a possibility. I personally believe that she was saved by divine, and she lived on for numerous years afterwards. But like I said, she was a Tartarian duchess, royal duchess, but a Tartarian empire duchess. possibly could have become queen. Even now, there are places in Russia that, speaking her name, people shudder or have a look of terror. And you're probably going to go like, yeah, whatever. No, there is. I've had a few encounters with Russians over the years, and I always talk about. I'll mention Anastasia, and they just. There's one particular. I've had a couple of Russian friends down through the years, and when I mentioned about Anastasia, though, it was like it's a very touchy subject because even they know. Because I later ended up talking to the person, and that person ended up revealing that there's a bit more truth to. Because I was giving my point of view, because I've always known about the story of Anastasia, and I gave what I knew, and he was like, "You've got more. There's more of what you're saying is possibly true," because like he gave his side of what he knew, and they were very similar, slightly different, but pretty similar. So the other reason that she became a urban legend and myth mainly is it's very rumoured that that she had a doppelganger. Now, I'm not going to explain what a doppelganger is. I'm going to do a separate video after this. This is like 2 separate videos. This will probably be a long video because it's the Anastasia. I'm going to do a separate video about the doppelganger. So there is a possibility that she had a look-alike, because you've just got to remember our family heritage and where that heritage came from. Is they were a holy royal family of Tartaria. Well, their ancestor, that's what their lineage was. And that made them a lot of enemies, even in Russia, but out with Russia as well. Yeah, well, I had a funny feeling. So while I'm doing Anastasia, I also have to give a bit more context on to who her father was, because there could be a possibility that her father isn't who her father is. Anyway, so there is another myth. It's rumour and hearsay, because I found out some rumour and hearsay from back then, and this is a really good one. So Nicholas Romanov was the last holy emperor of Russia, and he was like the whole family were assassinated back in 1918, apart from one, and that's Anastasia, the Royal Duchess of the Grand Duchess. I keep forgetting about that. She was the Grand Duchess of Russia, which was part of the Prussian Empire, which before it was the Prussian Empire, it was the Tartarian Empire. And there is a rumour that he was out on travels, because they were a hunting family back then, and he found a child in the woods. And sorry. Well, It's a really interesting story. I want to actually finish this one. It's the whole reason I came here to do it. Because I'm going somewhere. Because this is not going to be the first, there's going to be another time I'm going to come back here. But we'll finish this one first. And then I'll explain what I've got down in the pipeline. Because the next ones are going to be really good. This is one of my favourites. Because it ties up with another urban legend as well. And I'm going to get into that. So he was on a hunting trip in the woods. And he came across a child in the woods. And he took that child in. And he named her Anastasia. Because the way he seen it, it was a gift from the gods. Because he would have known about them being Tartarian lineage. So his family further back have also got a very similar story to going on a hunting expedition and finding he was the first one to find a young girl, a young baby girl in the woods. But there is a rumour that he found one of their family lineage found a baby boy in the woods. And I'm going somewhere because it gets really, really, really interesting. So I've already said that it was like I've got a funny feeling that she was given by Tartarian, by the people of Tartaria. Tartaria is like an unknown area. It's rumoured to be either above ground or it existed at one point, but they were anointed by divine, and yeah, she was a possibility because she was it was written, but the actual story of her was she was found in the woods by Nicholas Romanov on a hunting party, on a hunting expedition. Just later on, a lot of things got like hushed because it was sort of like that back then. So while I'm talking about this, and because of who they are, like I've had a lot of weird things happening because I'm talking about Tartaria. And I get that feeling that because there was something, I know that camera has picked up because there was a noise that came right from in front of me. So while I'm talking about this, there's because what I find interesting is I've got an earplug in here. So I've only got this ear, but my senses are telling me. Anyway, so she ended up surviving. There's a possibility but I believe that she survived when the family got assassinated. There was a divine intervention, and she was a bit different because she had witnessed her whole family being executed, basically murdered, but executed in the most horrific manner. And there was a lot of even in amongst the family, there was rumours that she had a lookalike, because there wasn't meant to be a divine intervention. So the lookalike ended up getting activated, basically. I'm going somewhere with the doppelganger. That's going to be a follow-up video. So and that's what made her the biggest urban legend. One of the biggest. Sort of getting forgotten about now, but at one point she was a really, really, really big urban legend. There is another one as well, but this is she's one of the biggest because she ended up having a lookalike that ended up wandering around parts of Russia and Eastern Europe. for a long time. Very interesting. So another part of the urban legend I came across was her younger sister, Grand Duchess Maria Nikolaevna, looked very similar. That was the scary thing, is she was found in the woods, but actually it was, because there is some written documents that as Anastasia got older, she started looking, when her younger sister was born, she started looking like her younger sister, or the younger sister started looking like her as she grew older. I can't quite figure out which way it was, but it probably was the younger sister started, as she grew up, she started looking like Anastasia. Very similar features. And there was a lot of rumour and speculation that it was the person that was wandering about, or it was the younger sister that wasn't found, that wasn't around. Because it's quite hard, because back then there was a lot of weird things about the family. That's why it makes it a very interesting urban legend. Because a lot of the history is only written on what the scribes wrote, but there's a lot of speculation that, like, this guy, like, the family had a weird aura. It would have been weird back then, but they had that, like, divine presence about them, because there is some royal families that had that, and they have that presence of divine about them. And it was rumoured that one of the daughters did actually survive, which was Anastasia. It's what made her, because she had a lookalike. Anyway. Anywho. Yeah, I just want to reiterate, it was the most, like, what she witnessed and what happened to the Romanovs was, like, it was the most gruesome murders of a royal lineage. Even now, it's like, nothing like that's ever happened. The urban legend originated from the fact that her remains were never found. And there's a possibility that the remains that were found aren't actually Anastasia's, because she had a lookalike, because she was meant to have died that day, but something happened that she ended up surviving, and then she ended up making her way to a town and got taken in, and then she ended up, because she was hunted for a while, like, she didn't, there's a possibility that she might have died, or her lineage still continues to even this day. Just very secret. Probably made her way to the Vatican, more than likely, because even back then that was a sacred place for, like, if you were a royal family, you were getting persecuted, like, there was a couple of safe sanctuaries around in Europe, and the nearest one was Rome would be the safest one for her, because they've got links to the Byzantine and the Byzantine Empire, which have got links to the Tartarian Empire. And there is a slight possibility that she ended up making her way to, because they have a connection to Vlad the Impaler, the Romanovs. Their lineage has a bit of Vlad the Impaler's lineage involved. calf cow gave me a wee jump scare. And that was the interesting thing I found out, is the Romanovs have a connection to Vlad the Impaler. And there is a possibility that Vlad the Impaler, as we know, is Dracula. So there is a possibility that she could still be alive. Because Vlad the Impaler was a Tartarian as well. Sorry, I'm hearing a couple of things. Right, we're going to go. Sorry. We're going to go and we're going to go over there. So I'm hearing things from over there. Still here, brothers and sisters, sorry. I had to make sure that there was, I'm hearing there's way too many things happening around me at the moment while I'm talking about this, because I didn't expect it to, it's not a touchy subject, but spiritually and divinely it is. So they have a shared connection to Vlad the Impaler, and there is a slight possibility that she made her way to Vlad the Impaler's sanctuary. And for all we know, they both could be alive and kicking to this day. We would just never know. Because there is also an urban legend that in the past, in the sort of like the mid 1900s, so you're talking about around about the 50s, 60s and 70s, there was rumours that there was a person that looked like her but older, but not too old, because she aged, because they obviously there is a possibility that she had a doppelganger, a lookalike. It's a very interesting urban legend. And that's pretty much that's the urban legend of Anastasia. I guess because her name is quite a hard name to pronounce. So that's the urban legend of the Grand Duchess Anastasia Nikolaevna of the Holy Empire, of the Holy Empire of Russia, that had connections to the Holy Empire of Tartaria. And a wee bit of a darker history is there's a possibility that the whole Romanov thing was, as they got assassinated, mainly due to the connection of that family being connected to, now there is another urban legend on Rasputin, but his real name is Grigory Yehimovich Rasputin. He supposedly healed one of Nicholas Romanov's sons from hemoglobin, which was quite a common big thing back then. The likelihood of him surviving that was but there was a possibility that he never really did anything. It was because the family and their connection to the Tartarian Empire and their connection to divine, because that's what it was. And he became a confidant of the royal family of Russia. But he had antics, especially when Nicholas II Romanov had to go do things and he had to join World War I. So he ended up doing things with the Tsar's wife, which is what got him assassinated. And then there was obviously rumours about Rasputin and being connected to, because his connection to the royal court and their connection to Tartaria and their lineage connection to Vlad the Impaler. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting urban legend. Now, I personally believe that she survived and the remains were basically, the remains could be her, but she had a doppelganger. Now I'm going to finish up this video here, but come and join me on the next one, which will be about the urban legend doppelganger, because I'm doing two, because she had a lookalike. The more research I did, the more like she had a lookalike, which is a doppelganger, because she was meant to have been assassinated the day that her family got assassinated, but she was saved by divine intervention, which kick-started a doppelganger activating, and then that's where all the myth and the urban legend, because she's still an active urban legend, just no one really talks about superstition and myths and urban legends anymore. This one is one of my favourites, because there's going to be follow-ups from this one, because there's a lot. Because as I've said, I touched on Vlad the Impaler. He's also an urban legend as well. And there's a connection between him and Anastasia. So there's a possibility that could have happened. Anyway, thank you for joining me. This one is, I love doing this one. This is quite a long video, I know, but it's worth it, because it's really, really good. Plus there's a few things that have happened in the video as well while I've been doing this. But to summarise it, is go reading and looking about Anastasia. Honestly, like it takes you down a rabbit hole. Alice in Wonderland with the white rabbit. Follow the white rabbit with Anastasia, because it leads you into a couple of other urban legends. Like, I knew that there was a possibility, but like the more digging I did, the more I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then I ended up finding out about Tartaria, which was another rabbit hole. And then I ended up learning a bit about Vlad the Impaler and his connection and the story of him, which is really fascinating. That's going to be coming soon. I have to, because I've done Anastasia, so I have to do Vlad the Impaler. I just have to. So anyway, come join me on the urban legend number 2, which is the doppelganger. Peace.